Have you ever felt like no matter what you do to manifest what you're looking for, you just keep getting stuck? You're doing all the things, you're hustling and taking action. You are doing the things that you're supposed to do, as well as the energetic work, the affirmations, the journaling, you're unpacking your limiting beliefs and consulting with astrological transits to see what's going on for you. And you keep getting insight after insight. But the question keeps coming up, what am I missing? Well, I'm here to tell you today that the problem might not be that you are not doing enough, but in fact that you are doing too much. So we're going to talk about how exhaustion is one of the biggest blocks to manifesting what we want. This can be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual exhaustion. Just when you are depleted, you are not in the space to be the creator that you are here to be. I'll also be sharing my favorite quote that I use to kind of ground myself as I go through periods of desperation and urgency in my own manifestations. And so stay tuned. In 2020, I left a toxic marriage. I had two almost adult children at the time and a 3-year-old. And I had no idea how I was going to make it on my own. I had a brand new freelance business and making $600 a month. I had no idea how I was going to make it. And I took my half of the stimulus check and got into an Airbnb. And on a wing and a prayer, I managed to build that business up, mostly through manifestation, through moon rituals, through journaling. And the truth is manifestation has allowed me to keep my optimism and feel like I am in charge of my life and what I'm creating, and that even when things are hard, I trust that there is a way, and I see life as a puzzle. If you're stuck, if things aren't working out, there is a way. You just have to keep looking and trying to figure it out. This has served me well, but also I had started to see that it kind of kept me in this loop of manifesting just enough, never manifesting going beyond, but always getting by in the version that was acceptable for me, which was not the version I wanted to be acceptable, but it was good enough. So then over the past few years, I've really started to try to dig around and understand why I can never get farther, why I've been stuck, what was keeping me there. And in the fall, I gave my notice to a previous client, and this was my main source of income. And I thought I was going to hit the ground running. I was so excited about this hypnosis business that I had been building, and I was just pumped and ready to go all in on myself. What happened instead was that I hit a wall, and I hit it hard. I found that all the excitement that I had been building up for my hypnosis business just wasn't there. And I thought, I really thought this was the path that I was meant to be on, but I'm seeing that maybe this isn't it. And I basically quit everything. I quit the hypnosis business. I shut my website down, and I kept thinking you really should push through. Maybe you need to get a job, Nicole. Maybe this is time to just stop trying to create something that puts you out of your comfort zone and just take it easy. And so I would apply for jobs here and there. And what I ended up finding out was that I had this kind of desire bubbling up that what I really needed to manifest was a sabbatical. I wanted 6 to 12 months off. I just felt exhausted to the core. And I managed to manifest that sabbatical. At this point, I am on about 5 months, maybe just over 5 months that I have been kind of off, taking it easy. Initially, maybe not taking it easy, resisting the rest, but then I started to sleep more. I started to say no to more things. I began really being more meticulous with what I allowed in my body or into my schedule. And I started to feel myself coming back, the true version of myself coming back. And about a month ago, I was inspired. I was reminded of who I was. And I've started creating, and I've been creating at massive speed. And I realized what I learned in that process is that even if you're doing all the right things, if your energy is depleted, this is going to be a huge drain on your ability to keep your vibe in check. And we all have heard like toxic positivity and that like you don't have to have all positivity, perfect vibe all the time to manifest. However, your overall demeanor, your ability to believe that things can turn out well factors into what you are creating in your life and what you feel is available. And if you are depleted to your core, you are not in your highest vibration, and that needs to be your number one priority. So I cut out alcohol because I kept noticing that was keeping me up at night. And then I started to recognize like, oh, well, maybe coffee is also not helping. So then I cut out caffeine, and my sleep started to become the foundation of just me feeling vibrant and capable and ready to take on the world. We always hear that your vibe matters when it comes to manifestation. And while that does not mean that you have to be high vibe 24/7, it does mean that you have to take care of yourself. And when you're running on empty, your frequency is lower. That's just anybody who has ever been running on empty knows how much harder it is to believe that things could be okay. I mean, I personally start to feel really hopeless after a few terrible night's sleeps. And I always am kind of thinking like, is this just life? Like I get this kind of hopeless demeanor that I've learned is not who I am, but you can forget it when you're in that moment. So you can't attract abundance when you're in a survival state. It's the difference between trying to manifest from a place of excitement and inspiration versus trying to manifest from desperation and urgency. So as I said, I took my 5 months and I didn't really know how long I would take. I thought I needed 6 to 12 months. And I listened to my intuition. And when people would ask me, what are you doing? Don't you need to do something about your situation? I found myself like holding my ground and really honoring the fact that I was doing exactly what I needed to be doing. The hardest part in this is surrender. And to surrender and not try to fix the problem, try to fix the thing that you're trying to overcome can be really scary. But the truth is if you can let it go and surrender, the universe begins to get to work for you. So now that I'm on the other side, I genuinely believe it was the best thing I could have done. And there was a slight niggling within me that was telling me all along, just be still. It's okay. So here are my tips for how you can slow down even when it feels scary so that you can open up the world of possibility available to you. Okay, number 1, recognize that rest is productive. And this brings me to the quote that I relied on and reminded myself of constantly, which is, I believe it was Napoleon that said, slow down, I'm in a hurry. And this just resonates so deeply for me because I realize how much time I've wasted being in chaos mode and scrambling and hustling and really, kind of being on the hamster wheel, but never making progress. So slow down, you're in a hurry. If you slow down, your progress will make exponential growth. And when you slow down, it doesn't mean doing nothing. You have to really recognize that this is productivity. This is creating space for inspiration and to trust the process. Number 2, you need to cut out the non-essentials. Now, if this is in terms of finances, because you're taking a step back, as I was, you might need to cut out all the inessential bills. And, maybe you don't have a lot of room to cut, but this might be the most important thing you do so that you can create a little space and a little breathing room. Cut out any unnecessary tasks. And if you are, you're the type of person who is sending voice notes to your friends and responding all day long, or you're texting constantly, or you're trying to be on social media all the time, and you just find that you are spinning your wheels in every which direction, you need to start cutting things out and do it slowly. And don't do it with shame, but cut things out to start pulling back in your energy and closing the energy leaks. Number 3, you need to let your nervous system reset. So this can look like again, the cutting things out, the creating more space, more margin between the things that you have to do. It can also look like recognizing, such as in my case, that there were external factors like wine on Thursday nights and coffee that were affecting my ability to get a good night's sleep. So as I cut that out, my sleep naturally resolved itself. This can also look like taking walks, doing breath work, doing nothing sometimes. For those of us that are overthinkers and we're always trying to be productive, doing nothing can sometimes be the most restorative thing you can do. Just sit there and drink your coffee or your decaf mushroom coffee, if that's your choice, such as mine at this moment. And then you need to shift from urgency to trust. And this really mostly, I would say, comes down to your dialogue. If you find that you are constantly talking about why you're stressed and why you're worried, or you start every conversation with, I'm so busy, I'm so overwhelmed, you're continuously like re-anchoring that into your system as your truth. So start to change your dialogue. Say, I'm taking a rest right now. I am intentionally doing less and giving myself time to restore. And this can not only shift you from urgency to trust, but like get your body on board to understanding and get your subconscious on board to understanding that what you're doing is valuable and that this is the most important thing you can be doing, because you're asserting that. You're telling people that. You are telling yourself that. And then the last thing is to trust that things can quickly change when you slow down and when you get aligned. That is one of those things that can feel so nebulous when you're waiting and you're on this side of the mountain that you're trying to overcome. And you're going, I can't do this slowly. I have to hurry. I have to push through. I have to like fuel up and get over it. The truth is if you get a good night's sleep, if you get a good rest, if you calm yourself, your energy will get you over that mountain so much quicker than the pushing and the hustling would have ever gotten you. Okay, so if you're feeling stuck, I want to present the question, are you really stuck? Is this really what's going on, or are you just exhausted and you need a rest? Can you give yourself grace to take that rest? And, sometimes the best thing for your dreams isn't pushing harder, it's slowing down, it's resting deeply. I'd love to hear, have you ever had a moment where slowing down actually helped you move further? Tell me in the comments. And if any of this resonated, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up or subscribe. That would make me so happy. Thank you so much.